Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 678. Let's see, I had the white pieces and started off with e4, and my opponent went d5, the Scandinavian defense. Now I had just played the Scandinavian defense myself in the previous game, so here I get to play the opposite side. So there are lots of moves that black can play, of course, but the two main ones are just taking immediately with the queen or rounding it up with knight to f6. This move here, also the gambit lines c6 and e6. This is another gambit line. It's similar to the e6 gambit, I guess, because if black had played e6 and I took, which is what I did here, I took en passant. And let's see, back up. We were completely, yeah, e5 is not in the opening book at all. Yeah, I was going to criticize this move, but when I looked at it with the chess engine, in this position, e5 was actually one of the moves that the chess engine suggested. I mean, it thinks white is better, of course, because white is up a pawn, similarly to the e6 gambit. But it is playable, apparently. So there's some compensation. Although I think, in practical terms, I think this is not very easy to play. And let's see, I went d4. For white, and it's pretty easy to play for black. So, I mean, it's true if we just are doing some normal development here. I go bishop d6. Oh, he goes bishop d6. I go knight f3. So if we pause here, he's got basically two moves of development. Normally, black would be like one move behind in development compared to white, and now he's one move ahead. So he's gained two moves by sacrificing a pawn, and that's really just not enough compensation. And the lines don't seem to be that tricky, although I make some mistakes later on and give him an opportunity to get back in the game. So this game is not all one-sided. But I think in practical terms, I don't really believe in this gambit. It just does not seem to give black enough play, or create enough problems for white to justify the loss of the pawn. So, like I said, white can just pretty much develop normally. And right here, I should castle as soon as I see that queen e7 move, and I'm fine. But, well, my move c4 is a blunder, and this is what lets black into the game. So if you want to spot the best move right here, you can pause the video and think about it if you don't see it immediately. Okay, I'm giving the answer away now. Yeah, it's just bishop takes c4. He can grab that pawn with check, and this is not particularly good for white. He gets his pawn back. I have an isolated pawn. It's not winning for black either. It's actually just about an even position. But anyway, having set up that tactic, he certainly should have sprung it when I gave him the chance. So c4 was just a blunder. Like I said, I could have just castled there. And he blundered similarly by not taking advantage of this opportunity. And he castled himself. And then I play c5, still not really paying attention to this idea. I think I started to notice during the game, right about here, that I was playing a little fast and loose. But anyway, yeah, that happens sometimes at the start of a blitz game. You're just moving too quickly. But that's no excuse. You should really recognize that this is a pretty simple tactic, and you need to do something to deal with it. So knight takes c5 here, this sacrifice. I really thought this piece sacrifice was no good, but actually it's one of the top engine choices. I thought I was winning a piece. I guess that's why it's a top choice. He has to take with either the bishop or the knight here. And either one leaves white with just a slight edge. So apparently black has sufficient compensation. Now he plays this check here. And the line the engine wants to play here to give white a slight edge is to just retreat this bishop. And then he grabs this pawn. And I go bishop d2. And, this is not the kind of position I wanted, actually. This bishop is pinned, this bishop is pinned. And what's the material? He's got, well, he only has one pawn for the piece at this point. So he's down a piece, and he has only one pawn. But he has a really active position. And so this is not very attractive for white, although the chess engine is not afraid of this position and thinks white is better. I think in a practical game, it's a little bit crazy to play like that. So I tried the move bishop to e3, blocking the check with the other bishop, and not giving him too many chances to pin more of my pieces. He gets a pawn back, so he gets it's the same as the other line in terms of material. And now I can throw in this bishop f5 check as a way to unpin and get my queen out of trouble. So I'm managing to kind of unwind here a little bit. He goes king b8, and I go queen c1. And basically all of my problems have been solved here except for castling. I still can't castle. So there are still some issues in my position. And black has some ideas here. Although his very next move here, bishop takes e3, seems to be helpful to me. The chess engine wants to play this way. And I think it's kind of instructive to look at, although it's a complicated line. It wants to play with knight h6, developing the knight with a tempo, hitting this bishop. And apparently there's no good way for that bishop to retreat. The chess engine gives bishop h3 as the best retreat, then followed by the exchange here on e3, queen takes, and rook h to e8. And once again, I got problems here. He's lined up on the e file. The bishop is preventing my king from escaping this way. The rook is preventing my king from escaping this way. I guess white can survive this, but that would certainly be a difficult position to play. So after knight h6, the best move for white is to give up that bishop and take this bishop, but get the queen off the back rank and get some pieces going. And then he doesn't grab this bishop right away. He takes here. This is the best line according to the engine. And white just castles. This bishop is hanging, but this bishop is hanging as well. So it's pretty much a wash at this point in terms of the pieces. Let's see. So now he can grab on f5, and I can take on e3, and then he can take back here. Although the best move is apparently queen takes. Knight takes is very attractive because it looks like you've got this fork of the queen and the rook. But the queen can come back here and pin the knight. So the best way to play this is queen takes e3, king h1, and we can pause, and that's the end of the chess engine line. The best play for both sides, apparently. And what's going on? I'm still a piece up, but I'm down 2 pawns. So black has 2 pawns for the piece. But I'm about to unwind. I just have to get this knight off the back rank, and my rooks will be connected. And black is better here, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind playing this position as white either. It's not so straightforward that black is immediately going to overpower me and win, whereas those other lines were kind of dicey. So anyway, that all started in this position with knight h6. Interesting move. He played the much more natural move, bishop takes e3, and apparently white's a little bit better at this point. Let's see, he goes queen b4 check, and I block with the knight. So I'm managing to slowly unwind, and now he goes knight f6. And after knight f6, apparently his compensation has completely disappeared. Once again, knight to h6 is the recommended move with a line like this, knight h6. Bishop retreats. This bishop drops back to a6, getting out of the path of that knight. And then I can castle queenside here. And it gives this position as okay for black. Black can play this position and still in the range of around even. What's funny is that the other knight moves are just not as good. You might think, well, he played knight f6, so we'll look at that next. You might think knight e7 with a similar idea is just as good as knight h6. But, well, there's a slight issue here. Say we follow the same sequence. Bishop e4, this bishop drops back to a6, castles queenside. The issue here is this queen is a bit short of squares, and the knight needs the protection of the queen, and it also blocks the queen's retreat. So a3 is starting to become a threat here, and so apparently white's a little better here, whereas in the knight h6 line it was even, or black was better. So anyway, funny stuff going on there. He played knight f6, which is a much more natural move, and I guess I could have played a3 immediately, but I wanted to castle first to protect the b pawn. But all of this leaves white with an advantage. So now this is what happens when you sacrifice and you don't manage to cash in with the the most correct and accurate moves. You just end up in a position where you're down material, and that's basically what's going on here. He continues to try, bring his rook out. It's logical with the tempo on my queen. But, well, I just provoke some trades here. And I even give up a pawn, which maybe wasn't strictly necessary. But as we go into the endgame, being a piece up is going to be more important than the 2 pawns that I'm missing. So I'm just bring my rook over here. I'm going to provoke some more exchanges. He goes c5. I take off the rook. Oh, he took with the knight here. And let's see, I bring my knight out to e4. I need to activate my pieces. Having an extra piece doesn't do you any good unless it's actually doing something. This also exposes the rooks. So he trades now. And then he throws in this bishop b3 check. But he doesn't have enough force to really do much damage to my king. And this just helps me activate my king. My king gets into the game. And the c4 move kind of shuts off his bishop, makes it a little bit harder for that bishop to play. So I'm just, oh, I didn't go there. Let's back up. I went knight to c5, hitting his bishop. Yeah, I would trade that bishop off and just be 2 pieces against 1. And the bishop really has nowhere to run. The only square it doesn't get taken in on is this square on a2, which is not a very attractive square for the bishop. So he just plays a5, preparing to save the bishop if given another chance, or defend it and given a protected passed pawn. I take it off and then bring my king over here. He does get a protected passed pawn, but it's not quite enough to save him. He can't quickly get over here to defend the A pawn. So these pawns are going to fall. So for example, if he were to push the B pawn forward to save the A pawn, then still I have this bishop to D7 idea, forking the knight and hitting the pawn. I don't know, that's not so clear, right? He could move the knight and defend the pawn, but then I can bring by knight in. Yeah, so I think I end up winning those pawns, regardless of what he does. He tries G6, kicking my bishop. I drop back to D3, played F5. I went bishop to B5 with this fork idea. Goes knight to D6, take off the pawn. Goes B5, take off another pawn, and now it's pretty simple win, even number of pawns, and I have an extra piece. I just have to be careful not to let him trade off all of the pieces, all of the pawns. Well, technically speaking, you can win with just a bishop and a knight, but it's kind of a tricky win. I wouldn't want to have to do that in a blitz game. Although I have played that, I have learned that line before, so I might be able to remember it. But in any case, I want to preserve a pawn. So the game continues. And that's what's going on. He's trying to gobble up my pawns, and I'm trying to gobble up his pawns. But the main idea is to keep a pawn, at least one pawn. And now he resigned after that last move. I'm going to grab another pawn here, and I will be 2 pawns up, so he won't be able to exchange off all my pawns. And I will be able to win with the extra pawns or the queen, as it turns out. So anyway, kind of an interesting game, and there are some gambit ideas there for you, perhaps. There's a number of different gambits in the Scandinavian defense, and some of them are more interesting than others. I think those immediate e6 and c6 gambits are not so good, but after white has played a move like c4 and the knight f6 line, then those gambits become interesting. Okay, that's it for this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.